there. My name is Ty. I'm one of the VCIOs with Smart Dolphins. So basically, I help with long-term planning and budgeting. So just helping small, medium businesses figure out, what they need, what they're going to need in the future, and building an IT roadmap with them. Smart Dolphins is a managed IT service provider. So we are basically the outsourced IT department for small and medium businesses. We do everything from your help desk to projects, proactive planning, managing security, so that you can focus on your business. We're always looking for new opportunities and new sessions, new content we can bring you. So with that in mind, we have a couple of upcoming sessions here. There's a Microsoft OneNote for power users on Friday, October 7th. There's a brand new session, which I'm helping design, called Identity Security Essentials. That's a bit of a deeper dive into technologies like multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, role-based access controls, and basically just protecting your staff's identities and the data they have access to. So if you've been to our cybersecurity training or our cybersecurity for managers session especially, this really builds on those, and I think it's going to be a worthwhile session. And of course, we have our recurring Excel Beyond the Basics, because that's something I'm sure most of us can use a little brushing up on. Couple quick notes on Zoom etiquette. If you do have a question today, please enter that into the chat. We'll try to answer them as we're going, but if there's something that we might want to get into a bit more depth on, we'll just save that for the end, and we'll make sure that JoLynn and I get a chance to address all of those. You will receive a link to the recording after the session as well. And and one more thing you'll receive, you'll get a feedback survey once we're done. That's super helpful for us, just to let us know that we're getting the right content out there. If there's anything that you think we could add to our sessions, yeah, be sure to let us know. They're constantly evolving. With all of that out of the way, I'd like to introduce our guest instructor today, JoLynn Rihn. JoLynn has been teaching Microsoft apps since they were first released. She's a certified trainer and Microsoft Master Instructor with over 30 years experience. She teaches on the basics to advanced features using programs like Teams, Excel, SharePoint, Outlook, OneDrive, and more.
Thank you very much, Ty. Well, welcome everybody to the session today. I do want to mention that in the chat, you're going to find a link to the handout for our class today. So if you want to go ahead and grab a copy of that, that would be great. Then you can go ahead and follow along with the topics that we're discussing. Also, it's a great reference to have for after we get done with our session. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start out in the online version. So our topic today is integrating Outlook with Planner and ToDo. There's actually been a few modifications that we've had to our Outlook, where they've integrated a lot of the tools that we're using in our 365 apps. So they're really kind of working more together now than they ever have in the past. And I see that as a future trend with Microsoft. So every time that we have these sessions, we're talking about different ways to use our applications more efficiently. And this is definitely a topic that we can really kind of get a hold of, becoming more organized and really knowing where we are when we need to do something. I think we all kind of struggle a little bit with that sometimes. And I remember back in the days when I used to use paper to try to figure out what I needed to do. That didn't work very well sometimes, like taking notes. It's just not the best choice. So now that we have all these great online and sharing capabilities available with our Microsoft apps, it's pretty seamless. But we need to know where to go to do what. And then, so we'll kind of start out with the online versions of just going to the apps themselves, but then we're going to see how they can actually be accessed through other applications too. So on their own, we can go to Planner, we can open up Outlook and go to ToDo. We can be using the online version of Outlook, we can be using the desktop version of Outlook. and we can be using Microsoft Teams. So I'll show you all of those and how they kind of are going to work together so that you won't miss what you need to do. All right. And we'll talk about the best practices for when should I use what, because I think there's a little confusion on, okay, we have these to-dos, but then we also have Planner. So which one should I be using? So we'll talk more about that, and you can kind of get a better idea as to which one to use. So I'm going to start out in Planner. Planner is a very powerful app that we can organize tasks that can be put together in groups called buckets. We can also assign tasks to other people. And sometimes when you have a task, it isn't just one thing. You sometimes have multiple things that need to be done with that task. So we're going to see how we can create multiple actions that have to be completed for the entire task. I kind of think of these as being a deliverable, and then we have our action items underneath it, or our, kind of depending on how you organize your WBS. So I'm just logged into my Microsoft account. I'm going to go to my menu up at the top left, and I'm just going to simply click on Planner. This is one way to access this program. Is this the way I use Planner? Not always. For me, it's kind of a 50-50 sometimes. Sometimes I come here to the online version, but I got to be honest, lately my habits are changing and I use Microsoft Teams all day long. So a lot of times I'm accessing my planner directly through Teams. So I definitely will be showing you that here today. But just a general overview of the program here first. So when you come into Planner, you're going to see a list of all the recent plans that you have been into, that you have access to. So one of the things is, first, let me describe the left-hand side of the screen. On the left-hand side, you always get your navigation pane. I happen to be clicked on Hub, and Hub is really showing me on the right-hand side my recent plans that I've been into, or I could access all my plans. I also could go into where it says Assigned to Me. So from the left-hand side, if I click Assigned to Me, I'm going to see tasks that have been assigned to me from other plans. But also you can notice from the left-hand side, I could create a brand new plan. So it isn't just a program that you would come into and put in just random tasks. Usually they're going to have a similar focus with each other. So if I'm in the HR department and we're going to be implementing a new, let's say we're going to have a new benefits package, and I want to assign a whole bunch of tasks and keep track of all these tasks that need to be done for this new benefits plan, I could actually create a brand new plan and organize all the tasks in one central location. Or we have a brand new product and I'm in the marketing department and we need to be creating a bunch of tasks to promote this new product. So we could create a brand new plan just for that marketing plan. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with a brand new plan just so you can get an idea as to how this is going to work. So I'm going to click New Plan at the top left. I'm going to give the plan a name, and I'm going to call this New Product / Service. So I'm going to give it a name. And then down at the bottom, I can have this become public where anyone in my organization could see the plan, but I'm going to keep it as private. I'm going to keep it as private for right now. Down at the bottom, I do have options where I could give it a description. I'm just going to keep the defaults. I gave it a name and I'm going to click Create Plan. So when I create this plan is now available that I can come in and I can start adding in tasks. So as you look in your handout, it talks about the Planner Online app. It talks about adding tasks, talks about notifications and buckets and things. Let me walk you through that. How do we add tasks in? How do we organize them? So first off, to add a task, I just click Add Task. It's that easy. But I'm only going to get a couple of choices in the initial window, which actually makes it really easy to add a whole bunch of tasks all at once. Then I can always go back and add more detail. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to type in a couple of tasks, and maybe we're going to need new brochures, and then I could set a due date. And when I go to the due date, maybe I want the due date to be October 20th, and I could assign this. I can assign this task to someone else. I can assign it to myself, or I could assign it to someone else. I'm going to assign it to my other computer, JoLynn. Okay. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to click add to add that task to my list. Then, of course, I could come in and I could be adding in additional tasks. So I'm going to click add task one more time. I'm going to give it a name. And this time, maybe I'll say social media. I'm going to set a due date, and maybe I want that to be October 24th. Once again, I could assign this. I'm actually going to assign it to myself. I'll go ahead and assign that to myself. Then when I'm done, I click add, and I now have a couple of tasks that I've entered in. Now I could keep going and keep adding a bunch of tasks in, of course, but let's talk about the details that you can store with the task. I'm going to go to my social media. So I'm seeing these tasks just kind of going down the list here. I'm going to click on social media to open up that task, and it opens up a window giving you multiple choices. So as you can see up at the top, it shows the name, which I could edit if I needed to. I also see who's assigned to the task, which you can assign more than one person. Also, I could put a label to it because we can sort in different things by label. I don't use that as regularly as I thought I would at first because I'm more of a bucket user. But anyway, when it comes to buckets, by default, all the tasks will go in your to-do bucket. But if you are going to be having specific tasks that are going to be related to different things, like all of these tasks are going to be social media related. These are going to be design related. These are going to be development related. We could actually put them in buckets to separate these tasks based on their category. So I'll do that in a minute. But you get your typical task items with, have you started the, is it in progress? Have you started it? Is it completed? You get a priority. And in the priority, you actually get urgent, which we don't see urgent in a lot of programs. Usually it's just important, kind of a medium and low. So just so you know, you have that as well. But like you've been seeing with other Microsoft Outlook features, we do have a start date versus a due date. So makes sense to me because I need to start it on a certain day to have it finished by the due date. So if mine's due on October 24th, I'm actually going to say that I need to start it on the 19th. That's going to give me enough time to finish it. I can put in some notes about the task, but what I really like about this is the checklist. Because if I have to do these, and these to complete this task, I put them in my checklist. So I might have Facebook. I might put in a checklist that I also need to do my Instagram. And I might need to do my LinkedIn. So I could put all these different social media tools that we need to work on for this new product or service. So once I'm done with Facebook, I can check that off. Once I have them all checked off, the task is completed. So these are like my subtasks to my main task. I even can attach files. So if I have something that I need to attach that is directly related to this, like maybe I'm doing a Word document that is actually going to have the data that we're going to put in our posts for our Instagram and everything else. Also, you could do comments down at the bottom. So if I want to comment back and forth with people. Now, I'll just keep it as this for right now. And as you can see, there isn't a save icon. We just close it. So I'm going to go ahead and close it, and my changes have now been saved. And now when you look at the task, you can see my individual items that I put in my checklist. So once I finish one of those, I just come and check it off the list, and it disappears on my main menu, but it's checked off if I go into the details. And then if you look across the top, you can see the name of your project plan. And then you have 3 icons. These are related to views. So we have a board view, we have charts, we have schedule. I'll get to those in just a second. I'll come back to that. But if I look at the next row down where it says to do, this is all my tasks in my to do bucket right now. So everything by default went in to do. If I want to have different categories of the different tasks that I'll be working on, I can actually click new bucket. So when I click new bucket, maybe I have production with this new product or service. Then I could be adding different tasks to that bucket. So if I click on add new task, once again, I can type in all the details for that task. And then I can continue to add as many buckets as I need to organize my tasks. But the thing about this is every bucket, whether it's the to-do, the production, any other buckets that I create, every task in these buckets, they're all related to the name of the plan. So I'm not just going to put random things in this plan. This is going to be my plan for all tasks that need to be done to reach an objective. Okay, we're building a brand new building. We're coming up with we're adding a new module to our ERP system. We're starting a new training. We've got a new coworker onboarding process we're going to develop. Whatever it is, one plan can have multiple buckets to help you organize, which if you're familiar with project management, it's like having deliverables, and then you get your, you can break it down into your sub packages, and we have all of our tasks and everything that go along with that. But back up to the top for a second. Right now I'm in what is referred to as board view. If I click charts, it's going to change my view to show me it in a more of a dashboard look where I can see my buckets. So here's my to-do bucket. I didn't put any tasks in my production bucket, but if I did and I had 20 tasks in there, of course my chart is going to update for that. You can get, of course, your great little pie chart over here to show things that are in progress, if there's any late tasks or tasks that have been completed, and then you get a priority task, where the priority task is nice because of the fact that it's going to show you how many tasks are urgent, how many of them are low priority, etc. So this is a nice little dashboard look. Down at the bottom, it's actually showing you members. On the right-hand side, it's actually showing you the tasks. So I could still be adding tasks as I'm looking at this charts view. Or up at the top, I can click on schedule. Schedule is going to take me into the calendar view. So this will automatically take me into my calendar view. So I could then be navigating to October and see the tasks that are supposed to be being worked on during those time periods. So great little tool. But what it's showing me right now is brochures. That is something that if I go to that, if I want to open this task called brochures, I can double click on it. I don't have to go back to my board view to actually drill into the task and get the details. So I double clicked on it, came back in here, and I can see that specific task. Okay. So it's a great tool to be able to organize an entire project into one central location. The integration from here carries over to your other apps. So it's going to carry over to Outlook, it's going to carry over to Microsoft Teams, etc. You will never lose what you need to do. You will never miss anything that you are assigned to. Because when you are assigned to a task, you will get notifications letting you know that you were assigned, and you'll get notifications as to when is this task due. You have 2 tasks that are due in 2 days. You have tasks that are overdue. You will continuously get your notifications so that you don't have to worry about anything. So you'll get the email notifications. So notifications and buckets are discussed right on the first page, and then the task details and organizing your tasks and assigning tasks are located on page 2 of your handout. So when we have tasks that we want to assign to other people, a lot of times we're going to be working together in other apps where we would then be assigning people to team members and different things. So I'll show you how that piece of it works as well. So when it comes to those views, those are described in your handout on page 3. So changing from board view to charts to schedule, etc. It's just a matter of, what do I need to see? How do I want to look at what I have coming up? I love all 3 of those views. I use them all the time. They're great options. And then to the right of schedule, up at the top, you have a menu. So the ... we know that now anytime we see that, we know that it's a menu. From that drop-down menu, you have different options. I can pin a plan. I can copy a plan. So if I'm going to have similar items, I could just copy the plan and then add in my new items or make my necessary changes. I could export it to Excel, where I can then see my tasks in columns and rows based on all the details. And I would like to show that to you. I don't use it as much as I have a lot of clients that use it. They use it a lot, actually. Not for sure if I will use it, but it's not a bad tool to have, knowing that you can do this. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one, and then I'll come back to the others. So it's automatically exporting my project plan, my new product and services. So I'm going to go ahead and open that file just so you can see, what does it give you when you export this out. It's going to give you every column. It's kind of like exporting Outlook items. You forget how many fields you have. Here it's going to show every field. So it's giving me my unique task ID, my task name, what bucket is it in. It's giving me my progress. So it's giving you all those details going all the way across. Look at all these different, it goes to the labels. Okay, so I got my checklist items. So if this is an easier way for you to kind of see things or to share it with somebody else, I have one client that is working with people that are more of a Google company than they are Microsoft. And so they're exporting this and giving this to them as an Excel spreadsheet. I personally use Microsoft, so I don't export it very much, but it's nice to know that if I needed to do that, I definitely have that option. Now I'm just going to go ahead and close my Excel, and back here in my online version, I'm going to go back to that menu again. And from that drop down, I could copy a link to the plan to give to someone else. And I'm going to show how that works. So I'm going to do copy link to plan. It copied it to my clipboard. I'm going to go back to Outlook here. Let me bring that up on my screen here for you. Got to get my Outlook open. And I'm actually going to paste that into my email. And then I'm going to call it project plan. And then I'm going to send that over to JoLynn. Now I'm going to click send. So she's going to receive an email with a link to actually get into this project plan. So as soon as that email comes in, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Should be just a second that comes. But while I'm waiting, just so you can see, also when you click on that drop down, you get your plan settings. I think it's kind of a fluff thing, but just so you can see, you can choose different backgrounds for your plan. So everybody needs a different background, right? I know a lot of people use these. I think they're great. It's a good choice. I like them. So if you wanted to use one of those, you most certainly can. There's also group options, so we can go in and change the name, the description. If I wanted this to become public in my plan settings, I can change this to be public instead of private. Also, the notifications. In the notifications, it has a check that you can do for send email to the group when a task is assigned or completed. And then down at the bottom, have planner notify me when. So I can turn these on or off. So a task assigned to me is late, due today, or due in the next 7 days. I can receive email notifications for those items. I don't uncheck those. Now, of course, I could check anything or make any changes that I want to these plan settings. Once I'm done, I could go ahead and click save so that those changes would be saved. So this is actually a really great way to be able to really organize everything that needs to be done. I have seen people use a whiteboard to write things down, and then everybody's got to go to the whiteboard and see it. I've actually seen people take a picture of the whiteboard and then send the picture via their smartphone to people. I've seen people use paper. I've seen people use Excel spreadsheets. We really can be using a lot of different choices when it comes to that. It all depends on what works best for you. For me, I rely on the notifications. I am a person that if it doesn't come back and remind me, I may not get it done. I need everything to be in one central location where I don't have to worry about, I have to go here to find this, I have to go here to find this. I think that that's such a time waster, and we can't waste any time during our day. I think the more organized we are, the more efficient we use our applications, the better off we're going to be. So JoLynn received her link, and now she can actually go in and open up that plan as well. So I'm going to have JoLynn come in and open that plan too. Go to my email, get to that plan. All right. So this is the online version of Microsoft Planner. But like I said, do I have to come here to actually use Planner? Do I have to go and log into my Microsoft account and open the app? The answer is no, you definitely do not. Let me show you an alternative. I'm actually going to go to Microsoft. So let me slide that window over to that you can see. And when I am here in Microsoft Teams, how do I access Planner? Well, one thing is, a lot of times for me in my team, in my channel, I create plans. So if I go to my teams on the left-hand side here, and I go into my marketing team, I could actually have a planner directly within any of my Microsoft Teams channels. There could be a separate plan for every channel if you needed to. I was just looking, I have one in my company templates in my marketing department. If I go to my tabs up at the top, I have this marketing plan. When I come into this marketing plan, I'm going to see all the tasks that have been added to that specific plan. I think I added some into this test one anyway. It's kind of slow on opening. That's okay. I'm going to come back to this computer, and I want to go back into get that plan open. Okay. So when I come into this plan, it's just exactly the same as what you saw when I was in the online version. So I'm in Microsoft Teams, and I'm created a plan that is directly related to my company templates for 2022 for my marketing department team. So as a team for the marketing department, we can have different plans that we create that is related to the channel name. And then whoever is a member in that team, we can actually assign tasks to any member. So if I come in and I create a task, I'll just do new brochure. I can come in and assign that task to anybody that is a member of this team. Once again, they will get a notification, et cetera, like we talked about before. You know what? I even get notifications on my mobile device because I have Planner on my phone as well. So I don't have to worry about being at my laptop because I don't carry my laptop all over with me. I can have access to it right from my smartphone. So anytime that you get assigned a task, it's going to automatically be tracked for you in other places, which we'll take a look at. Yes, Ty.
Actually, Carlos had a related question here.
Yes.
He's wondering if it's better to assign a task using Planner or Outlook.
Well, it depends. And when I get to Outlook, I think I'll be able to answer that a little bit better, but it's going to depend on what program are you in. Are you in Outlook, or are you in Planner, or are you working through a team? Because that's where it's going to kind of depend on where you are at the time. So let me table that question for a minute. Once we get to Outlook, I'll kind of give you a back-to-back on that. Okay.
Sounds good.
So this plan that I'm in right now was part of an existing team, but it looks and works the same. I get my views up at the top. It's in a different physical location of where my view tabs are, but I get my list, I get my board, I get my chart, I get my schedule. So list is to-dos, but where we get the columns and rows. But it's a great way to really access and work as a team together. So this is where I use it probably the most, is directly this way through a channel inside a team. But there's another way, because what if it was actually a plan that is not related to a team? Can I still access it? Or do I have to go to my internet browser, log into my Microsoft account, open up my project or open up Planner? I don't. I actually have access to my other apps directly here in Teams. Teams is this front end program that we connect and use other apps through. Its backbone is SharePoint. And if you're familiar with SharePoint, it's such a powerful tool that we have available. But if I go to the left-hand side to my navigation here in Teams, most people think Teams is for chatting and doing meetings. It's unbelievable what Teams does. If I go to the menu at the left, the dot, 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 I can actually access other apps. So here you're going to see I have tasks by Planner and To-Do. If I click on tasks by Planner and To-Do, it's going to open that app. I don't have to go back to the internet to open it. I can open it directly here from inside Teams. So I will be able to manage what I have going on. So it's a great little tool that we can have access to from multiple places. So when I'm looking at this, I can see in my menu here for this planner. And by the way, notice the name. It's called Tasks by Planner and To-Do. They're even starting to rename these from being more of an individual program to being able to see them in one place. So I don't have to just go to to-dos. I don't have to just go to Planner. We can see them all together. So what I'm seeing on the middle of the window is if I click tasks, it's going to show me all the task lists. And I'm getting different columns of information over on the right-hand side. And I can click on any one of these to go into the task. Now, I'll just point out a couple of these so that you can kind of follow where these are located at. Or maybe I should add a new one. Let me add a new one. I'm going to add a new task because I want you to follow where I'm seeing this task. So I'm going to click Add Task. It's not giving me a bunch of details, but I'll explain that here in a minute. But let me actually call it Outlook, To-Dos, and Planner. So that's something that we'll remember. So I could do a priority. I could do a due date. And let's say that I want the due date to be today. Oh, I thought it let me type in there. I thought I could type in there. I thought I did that before. I typed today and I thought it gave me it. I know Outlook does that, but anyway. So let me put in, I'm going to have this be due on 10/3. And then I'm going to click check to create it. So I have this new task that I just added in. So I'm seeing all of these other tasks that I have listed here. So based on the dates, I'm kind of organized by dates here. On the left-hand side, though, let me kind of come back to that task. I'm going to click on important. This will filter your task to show you your important items. So these are all of my items. If I want to see the ones that have been assigned to me, I can filter by the tasks that have been assigned to me. So I can see I was assigned to a report coming. And the cool thing about this is here's my source. Where is this actually coming from? Well, the one that I created back in the online version of Planner, it's right here in this new product service. So that's the task for that social media. I can click on it to open up that task. And then I can have the details for that specific task so I can update them. I don't have to go back to Planner and open up that plan, open up that task. It's right here. Anything that I personally am working on is right here. So let me go ahead and I'll just close it. I won't make any changes to it. But when I look at these other ones where it says vacation, PTO, and holidays, that's actually coming from a team. That's coming from a team. So that source is going to give you the details as to where it's coming from. And it's actually coming from a plan called PTO to-dos. So I can see all that information. It's kind of cool. But on the middle part of the window again, where it says new hires, I'm going to go ahead and click on this new hires. This is actually another plan that was created. Did you have another question there, Ty?
There's one that came up. I think it's related about this, I guess, the source.
Okay.
And they're asking if we can assign a task to someone outside of the organization.
Yes, you can. So we do have access to people from outside of our organization, especially if you're using it through Teams. So, and that's really where I see this program being used very heavily. So back to my team again. When I'm actually working inside a team, I can have external members to my team or to my SharePoint site where I can have a task list as well. So when I'm in here, if I have a member that is from outside my organization, I can assign that task to someone from outside. So if I create a new task in this marketing plan and I go to assign, I have a guest user, a guest member to this team. So I can actually click on that person to be assigned to the task. Even though that person is a Gmail, they're going to get a notification that they have this task. And so if I'm working with like I have a lot of contractors that I work with in different outside companies that I work with, and we'll have a team together, but they're not a Microsoft house. They don't use Microsoft products. If they want to use Teams, they could download the free version of Teams and use it. But they're still going to get their notifications and everything. They can still access this team. So it's pretty cool how all of this is really starting to flow so smoothly together. So that was a great question, by the way. So yes, we can assign tasks to people outside of your organization as long as you have permissions to work with people outside of your company. That is something that IT turns on for us. Okay. But back to kind of talking about planner, to-dos, etc. Right here from Teams, I have access to a lot of different ways to use that. But I'm going to jump back to my internet browser. Sorry. I'm going to go back to my Microsoft homepage, and I'm actually going to open Outlook Online. I'm going to open Outlook Online. For quite a while now, Outlook Online has had to-dos. So when we open up Outlook, you get your typical email, you get your calendar, you get your people, but on the left-hand side, which by the way, don't know if you noticed, but even the desktop now has the menu on the left-hand side. Instead of taking up that space on the bottom left, it's now just a bar on the left. So kind of transitioning from online to desktop, we're getting a smoother transition, which I'll show you in a second. But from this left-hand side, I'm going to click on the check mark for to do. So when I open up to do, it's going to open to my list of things that I need to take care of. So plans, and just to kind of reiterate the difference between to-dos and plans, to-dos start in your handout on page 3. I'll come back to planner and to-dos here both together in a second, but I can access my to-do items. One way is through Outlook. So when I come in to Outlook Online and I open it from the left-hand side, I have a feature here called My Day. This is not really a new feature. Outlook used to do this all the time too. Way back in time, Outlook didn't open to inbox. Outlook opened to a My Day view where we would see all of our tasks, all of our appointments coming up. And that's basically what we're getting now again. So we're kind of backtracking. It's kind of like going back to the 80s and, having things come back close wise. So what you're seeing is today's date. And if I had tasks that were needing to be worked on today, I would actually be seeing them. Or I could actually create new tasks. So it's going to filter out and show me what I need to do today. Then on the left-hand side, I can click on important, and I'm going to see any tasks that are marked as being important. So I can see that I have a couple of tasks that are marked as important here. I also have planned. On the left-hand side, I have this category called planned. If I go into planned, notice that I have add a task at the top. Then I have earlier, where I have 12 different tasks under my category for earlier. I'm going to shrink that back up here for a second because I have this category for the next date range of October 1st through the 5th. Then I'm seeing later. So later on, I have some tasks to work on, which is actually social media. Social media came from that planner that I had created earlier in the online version of Planner. So I can see it's coming from the new product service. If I click on any of these, like I'll click on social media, on the right-hand side of my screen, I will have access to the details. I can go back and click on my Outlook to-dos and planner. Where did I see that before? Outlook to-dos and planner. Are you following? So when I was in Planner in Teams through the app, I added this task called Outlook to-dos and planner. So I'm seeing it now in this planned section for the tasks that I need to do. I also have a category on the left for assigned to me. So these are the tasks that I have actually had an assignment. Somebody literally went in and said, we're assigning this to student 1. So there's that social media task because that was assigned to me. Or if somebody else assigns it, of course, it's going to show up here as well. I have a couple that are overdue, I can see. I better get those taken care of. One's from December of last year. I also have flagged emails. So I don't know if any of you are flaggers or not. I'm a flagger for sure. I flag my email messages. We can see those through the to-dos because we're flagging them to say we need to do something with them. So we're going to get those flag notifications directly here through to-do. Also on the left-hand side, I see tasks where I have 12 different tasks. These are tasks that I have actually entered in. Notice I have that Outlook to-dos and planner is here. I have all these other tasks that I've been adding in. If I click on any of these, on the right-hand side, I'm going to see the details for that specific task. Now, these tasks are going to, and by the way, I have a category down at the bottom for completed tasks. So tasks that I've been completed don't disappear. They stay here until I delete them. When I mark them as being completed, it crosses it off my list. It does that with Planner. It does that with to-dos. It does that with tasks. It's always done that. That is a wonderful feature because that was one of the biggest complaints of when I first started teaching Microsoft Outlook and teaching people how to use the tasks in Outlook. They always said, yeah, but on paper, I could just cross it off when I'm done. Well, we've always been able to do that. And I think this is something people love to be able to do. But of course, we can always right click and delete them if we don't want, once we're done with them, we don't need the details for them. We could go back and just delete them. Now, there's so many great things that we can be using to kind of keep ourselves organized. So right now, if I had to describe the difference between Planner and To-Do, they can be integrated, but when would I go to Planner? When would I just go to To-Do? Planner is where I have a lot of things that I need to do that are related to reaching one goal. And I'm going to probably want to share those and assign those with other people. I would definitely go straight to planner and do that. And for me, like I've said, most of the time that would be directly through a team. I would most likely be doing it through a team because I'm sharing it with other people, all the team members that are a part of that channel of the team. When it comes to these to-dos, a lot of times it's just, what do I need to do? What do I need to complete? So, on Thursday, I have this due that I need to do. It's not related to anybody else. It's really just kind of related to me. So it's my way of keeping track of the tasks that I personally need to take care of. Planner can be a lot more, but anything that is directly related to you is going to show up in your to-dos. So if it's directly related to you, you'll see it within your to-dos. Okay. So I'm actually in the online version of Outlook right at the moment. I'm going to open up my desktop version. So I'll go ahead and close my Outlook online. I'm going to open up my, there we go. Wasn't sliding with me. I'm going to open up my desktop version of Outlook. I don't use my online version of Outlook very often. And they really have a lot of similarities to them these days. They look more and more like each other. Here in the desktop version, our menu is now over on the left-hand side, used to be located at the bottom left. They've kind of given us the same look, so it's not hard to transition from, online versus desktop. They're trying to make them look more and more like each other. So it's not like we're going to a totally new program or anything. So of course, you're going to have all your same things with your email. You have your calendar, you have your people. But when I'm here in my tasks or to-dos, I have two different icons. I'm going to click on the check mark like I just did in the online version of Outlook. And that's going to take me straight back into my to-dos again. And it's going to be just like what I saw before. So online, oops, I had an update that I had just done, so to complete the little wizard. So what I'm doing is seeing exactly what I saw when I was in the online version. So I have my same categories, my important, my flagged messages, my tasks, etc. All of that is exactly the same. So it has no difference from going from online to this desktop version. You'll notice down at the bottom though, down at the bottom here, we have what are called lists. And this is actually in your handout, talking about smart lists, going over from page 4 to page 5. It kind of talks about these great smart lists that we have and how to create these and how to create tasks and different steps within your tasks and things. But let me do a list. So I'm actually going to come to this, and I could have done this in the online version of Outlook as well. But if I click new list, I can then give it a name. So my cursor is blinking right in the name. And let me call this one, I'm going to have a new room. So I'll just call it new room. So when I have a task that I should say a list that I want to create that's going to include multiple items, I can actually create it as a list. Like I have these IT tasks that I've put in here. I have these new hire tasks. These are my planners. So my IT project tasks, I can see in the right-hand side here, I have my lists of tasks that need to be done that are related to this IT project. Or of course, I could be creating new lists. So a list is a way to create an organized list of, this is everything that I need to get at the grocery store. This is everything I need to get when I go to the supply cabinet. This is a list of tasks that I need to do to create that new report. So it's a way that you can have separate tasks organized together. So I tried to name this and I clicked off instead of, I have to rename this again, but I'll just call it new list. And when I have this task called new list, I can actually go in and add tasks to all my task lists. So when it comes to, back up here for just a second, when it comes to actually using, whether I'm using my Outlook Online, I'm using my desktop version, I'm using my planner, and planner gets a task in the planner gets assigned to me, I'm going to have access to that in several different locations. I don't have to go to one program to have access to it. So anything that I personally need to do is going to be listed in my actual to-dos. But I wanted to jump back here to Outlook again online. And I clicked on that, the to-do, the check mark from the left-hand side again, just to show you that if I had done anything in the desktop, it would carry back over to here as well. But I'm going to jump back to Outlook for a second, because the Outlook Online and the Outlook desktop, we have access to a lot of different tools, a lot of different things that we can do in these programs these days. But back here in my desktop version, what they've actually incorporated along with this is, let me just get back to my desktop, is on the left-hand side of my desktop version, I can actually click tasks. So they haven't completely removed this task feature. I've read they are going to, but as of today, we have tasks and we have separate to-dos. So when you look at your task list on this left-hand side, I can see my to-do list, which is flagged items sometimes, or tasks that I've created. So I can see more details in this view. I'm actually in my current view on the ribbon. So we have a ribbon up at the top because it's part of Outlook. It doesn't have the condensed look like with our new to-do, but I could do detailed list, I could do simple list, etc. Depending on how you want to look at your items. I need to clean these out. I've got a lot of tasks in here, but this is where I could go to new task. I could type in all the details for this task, just like I did with Planner. I could even assign this task to someone else. I could create separate task lists. And the reason that I've read that this is going to eventually go away is because we now have Planner. We have To-Do. We don't really need this, because what we had here with this, I hate to say the word, older version of tasks, is all of that is now included with Planner. But if it's just a single task that I personally want, that's part of to-dos. And from to-dos, I can see everything, regardless if it's a plan, from a plan or from a to-do. I get my flagged emails just like I always did before. So eventually that icon on the left with the clipboard we've seen for years, that's going to be disappearing, because honestly, we don't need it anymore. We now just go straight to to-dos, where we can have access to anything that is personally assigned to us. Okay. So in your handout, it talks about creating those steps. It talks about tagging, talks about putting notes in, talks about your importance level and different things like that. Even if you go to an email and flag it. So if I go back to my email messages and I have an email that I actually want to flag, I can flag that message. I can say that I want to, I'll go to follow up and I'll say I want to add a reminder to this, and I'll just choose the defaults. It's flagging it here in my email. It's highlighting it, so I know that it's flagged. Plus I see a red flag with a reminder because I have a reminder on it. That's now also going to be accessible through my to-dos. So it carries from one place to another, because I said I need to do something with this, and I actually had a date that was assigned to it. So here's my create videos. So I could go into my flagged emails. I'm going to see the one that I just did, which was Zoom. and I have it actually due for today, I could go to the star on the right-hand side and mark it as important. Now I can access it in my important category. If I go to a task that has been assigned to me, this is where this program really shines for as an individual user, because I don't have to go back to my team, back to my channel, to that app, or back to my online version of Planner, find the plan and open it. Everything that I'm working on is going to show up here. So my social media, I can double click or click on it, I should say, and I can come in and I can be creating whatever I need to create for it. I don't have to worry about going someplace else. When I'm done with something, I can check it off. When I'm done with all of it, the whole thing is going to be marked as complete. So watch for your reminders. You will get reminders for to-do items. You will get reminder for task items that are related to Planner. You can get a pop-up window that's going to give you your reminder. You can even receive an email from Planner that says you've been assigned to this. So I can receive an email that says I was assigned to this task. I can click on it and it will automatically take me to that plan, to that task that I was assigned to. So the integration is wonderful using Outlook, To-Dos, and Planner together. Ty, were there any other questions that came through that we can answer today?
Yeah, this one's a bit general, I think. So the question is, what application can be used to share calendars and tasks in a team? But I think there might be multiple answers to that.
So can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's what application can be used to share calendars and tasks in a team?
In a team, calendars and tasks in a team. It depends. And so, yes, there is multiple answers to that, because one would be a SharePoint site. So I can open up my team in a SharePoint site and share a calendar that way, along with a task list. But just so you know, also in Outlook, if I go to my calendar in Outlook, down at the bottom, I already have my tasks pane open. How I did that was from my View tab of the ribbon. So I'm in my desktop version of Outlook. And basically what I did was, in my layout group, I went to this daily task list and I have it normal, which means that it's open on the bottom of my screen. I can actually resize it to make that part of the window bigger or smaller. But what this is going to do is show me the tasks based on my calendar that I have coming up that are due that day. But the problem for me is, if I'm late on it, it's going to keep following me every day until you complete it. So it is up to you to make sure that you are completing the task as needed. So as I kind of scan through, if I had tasks that were due on any specific date, I could see those down at the bottom. And by the way, the integration with that is getting better, where we're going to be able to see that at the bottom of the calendar coming from all of our planners and our to-dos. Okay, I might even have that update on my computer right now. I see I need to update. So there's some great integration with several different applications that way. Okay, so I hope that helped. Did I answer the question from previous? Now I forgot what it was.
I think there's one other question I had outstanding here, and this is, I think, might be a bit of troubleshooting. Joji mentioned that adding an item was not working for them, but I wonder if they might have a bit more detail on what they were seeing when that was happening, or what
So
version.
was that in Planner?
I believe so, yes. Are you still here with us, Joji? Oh, it says all good now. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think we've covered all of the other questions there, though, as we were running through. If anybody has anything else that they want to ask, yeah, feel free to chime in now, and we'll make sure we cover that. I think that might be it. All right.
Right.
Yeah, Thank you, everyone. So one just quick reminder, we do have lots of upcoming sessions. Be sure to check out smartdolphins.com/training. We're always adding new content. And we do have some recurring sessions like our monthly cybersecurity, which is great to send like new employees to, or just for a refresher now and then. Big thank you to JoLynn for the awesome content today. And if anybody would like a free consultation or to talk to us about what we do here at Smart Dolphins, then please reach out. We're always happy to chat. Thank you everyone for attending today.